I felt for you.
Hello everyone, so today we'll be talking about how to assemble your rear mudguard. So out of the packet, this is what you'll be seeing. All the parts here are separated and we'll guide you through today. On the table layout here are 3 pieces of the stay. They come in different lengths, so be sure to put them in the right order as shown here on the video. The longest one is on the outside, then the middle one is in the middle, and the shortest one is in the inside. Okay, so now before proceeding on to the next step, we're gonna put the M5 bolt into the stay assembly so that the stay assembly stay together and it's much easier for us to assemble it onto the mudguard. You can do this by following my action shown here on the video. Okay, so once that is done, we'll now assemble the stay onto the actual mudguard. We'll be using the longest stay to attach to the rear of the mudguard, as I'm pointing to right now. The second longest to the next hole, and the shortest stay to the last hole I pointed to. We shall attach the shortest stay first. We'll be doing this by using these 2 attachment pieces. One of them is flat and the other one has a curved groove on it. We'll use the one with the curved groove first. The other piece, we'll be using it for the attachment on the outside of the mudguard. There are 2 finishes on this piece. We will use the shiny finish on the outside. Next, we will use a piece of the M4 screw to straddle the assembly first, like so. Then we put the stay in place and then we connect it to the other side of the plate. We just need to tighten it enough so that it doesn't fall apart. Now we'll use the remaining M4 bolt to attach the stay properly, like so. Be sure that you don't tighten the bolt too much, because over tightening can cause the plastic mudguard to break. Once you have tightened the assembly, you have to make sure that the stay is about on the middle of the assembly. For the next step, we'll be building the wheel assembly. Again, it comes with the M4 bolt. The lock ring can be tightened using a number 7 wrench. First step, be adding the washer into the M4 screw. Now we'll attach the wheel assembly to the mudguard using just 1 bolt first. We also have to move the stay into the right position As shown in this video, we move the medium length stay into the middle position and the longest length stay onto the outer edge of the mudguard, like so. Now, we put the wheel assembly on. We'll then grab the inside plate and make sure that the middle stay will be fitting inside the groove, as shown here. You don't have to worry about the other side yet. Once in position, you'll just use the nut to lock it into position. Once that is done, and it's all tightened, we will grab the remaining M4 bolt and put the other stay, the longest stay, into position. Once everything is all lined up, you'll do the same process again, which is to tighten up the assembly with the bolt and the nut on the other side. Like what we are doing now. Once the assembly is tight enough to not fall apart, we need to tighten it further. This will have to be done using the hex key and the wrench together at the same time. Again, you have to be sure not to overly tighten it, because over tightening can cause the mudguard to break, since it's only a plastic assembly designed to be as light as possible. Now we have a complete rear mudguard assembly that is ready to be put on the Brompton frame. Now we're on to the next step of connecting the mudguard assembly onto the bicycle itself. To begin this process, we'll need to take the rear wheel off, because we need to connect the mudguard into position in this little hole that we've just pointed to. Now let's take the wheel off. We begin by removing the hub gear cable, like so. Next, we'll have to disconnect the chain tensioner, which is best done in a folded position like what we did here, since there will be less tension on the chain. We will now use the 15mm wrench to undo the lock nut of the chain tensioner, like so. For more in-depth understanding of the wheel removal, you can also watch our videos on the wheel removal, linked in the description below. Next, we shall be removing the bolts that is holding the wheel together from both sides using the same size wrench tool. You only need to loosen it enough so that the wheel would come off. There's no need to take out the whole nuts from each side. There's also less chance that you'll lose the nuts and the rings by doing this. After the wheel is removed, we'll have to remove the rear brake using the 10mm wrench, like so. there's not much space, so you have to be patient, since your tool might hit the frame and chip the color. Once you remove the lower stop disc, you'll see that there are two washers. The two of them serve different functions. Be sure to not lose them. Next, we'll remove the light bracket and also the washer that is flush to the frame. Once everything are removed, we are now ready to move on with the next step, which is to put the mudguard assembly onto the bike itself. From the earlier process that we locked the stay together, the bolt attaching the stay comes with 4 washers. We'll just leave one on first, making sure that the bolt will be inserted from the outside in, like so. The bolt will also be on the outside of the frame, and so is the assembly. Now we'll insert the mudguard into the frame. We put the remaining washer onto the assembly and also the lock nut. But we don't need to tighten the whole thing just yet. For the gear side though, we'll insert the bolt from the inside towards the outside, like so. Then you put the stay on in the following order: shortest one first, medium size in the middle, and the longest one over the top. Then you put in a washer and a lock nut and tighten it enough so that it doesn't fall off. Now we'll install the last connection point of the mudguard assembly onto the frame. First, we'll need to remove the whole brake assembly. Then, we shall remove the washer that sits with the frame, but you only need to leave one washer on the brake. Then, insert the brake back onto the mudguard, and then the washer that we previously took out back in place. Now, put the brake onto the frame. Then, the washer that sits with the frame with the correct groove, the reflector assembly or lights if you have lights. Then you need to put on the remaining 2 washers, one which is a spring type and the other one which is just flat. Then, to lock it all up, we'll use the lower stop disc that we've taken out earlier and tighten everything like so. Before we'll be reinserting the rear wheel, we'll be using the 8mm wrench, 2 of them to be exact, to tighten the 2 connecting points below, like so. Now we shall insert the rear wheel. Unlike the last video, how to install the rear wheel, the top sign will now be facing up, because now the bike is the right way up. First, we move the chain around the sprocket. Then we push the wheel up into position and put the lock ring in place where there is an indentation in the frame. We'll have to finish tightening up the wheel using the 15mm wrench, like shown here. Once that is done, we'll have to put the tensioner back on. To put the tensioner on, the short leg of the tensioner will have to be below the chain, like so. Then we should lock the tensioner in place with the washer and the lock nut that we've taken out earlier, making sure that it's the right side in. Like so. Again, we use the 15mm wrench to tighten it fully. And now, we put the long leg back on, making sure that the bike is in the unfold position, like this. Now, the last step is to put in the hub gear pin. You can watch how to set it up in another video, linked in the comment section below. And now we're done. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and like, which it will help this channel greatly. Thank you again.